Good morning, everyone. Can you guys hear me okay? Do I sound okay? Look okay? All right. Well, I wanted to start this session on time so I could make sure you get in here on time and out of here on time. But I want to say welcome to this very first early morning session titled, Welcome to Your First Federal Student Aid Training Conference. It's so nice to have you here in Reno, Nevada. My first time here, maybe your first time here. And I'm happy to be here with you this morning for just a few minutes, going through some information that I think will help get you on the right foot for this first Federal Student Aid Training Conference that you've attended. My name is Trevor Summers, and I work for the U.S. Department of Education as a training officer. I work in the Dallas, Texas regional office. So if you've ever come through Dallas, or if you've ever attended any of our training in that area, that part of the country, maybe I've had the opportunity to get acquainted with you. And I know we have people here from all over the nation. We also have people here from all over the world, believe it or not, in the foreign schools session. Regardless, my name is Trevor. I just wanted to give you a special welcome, and I'm happy to be here with you to help you in any way I can. I want to mention that this conference, this session at 7:30, this isn't the actual start of the FSA training conference. After the session is the very first general session, and that's when the formal introduction, the formal welcomes will occur. This is an early morning session to help get first-timers off on the right foot. So I want to share with you some things that I think will help you as we go through this week. You can see on this slide, the session, the conference that we have is broken down into breakout sessions or general sessions and other types of meetings that you can attend throughout the week. We have 32 breakout sessions, most of them offered multiple times. When we say they're offered multiple times, we mean they're duplicates. We don't have any sessions that are part 1, part 2, part 3, and part 4. If you're unable to attend a particular session, let's say this afternoon at, I'm just saying 2 p.m., that may be offered again, a duplicate, maybe tomorrow, Wednesday, or Thursday, or even Friday. So when you see that we say most offer multiple times, you can see that one particular session that you want to go to may be full. Don't panic. Look at your agenda. It may be offered again the following day. We have 5 breakout time slots this afternoon. You'll see how this morning we're going to have general sessions, which are very large sessions with lots of people in the room. And then this afternoon we start to the individual breakout slots for the smaller sessions throughout the conference center. Then Wednesday and Thursday and Friday, there are different breakout sessions throughout the day, so you can choose which sessions you wish to go to. We also have 10 birds of a feather sessions that we'll talk about in just a second. We want you to hit all of these, the general sessions, the breakout sessions, the birds of a feather sessions. This is a large conference, one of the bigger ones, over 5,000 financial aid administrators or school officials will be here this week. So you'll be here with plenty of opportunity to get to know people, both in the U.S. Department of Education and also people that do the same thing you do at your school, just perhaps maybe in a different state or a different institution. Who attends the Federal Student Aid Training Conference? You can see on this list the most common type of attendee is my favorite type of attendee, the financial aid administrator. That's you or most of you in this room. But we not only have financial aid administrators, like financial aid directors, assistant directors, associate directors. You may be a financial aid counselor, some type of advisor. There are different flavors of financial aid administrators, and we're happy that everybody is here. We also have some admissions officers here. Those are some people back at your campus who are fortunate enough to come with you to Reno this year and that may be interested in learning more about how the financial aid process works. Bursar's officers, that's the team of people that work in your school's business office or finance office or accounting office. We're thrilled to have some Bursar's officers here. Foreign school administrators, yes, we have foreign school officials here. They actually started meeting yesterday, and they administer the direct loan programs for students students that enroll in schools across the globe. So whenever you're out and about walking through the thoroughfares or the corridors and maybe sitting down and grabbing lunch or breakfast, you may see someone that has a conference badge like you, but their college name or their college location may be in another country. We have foreign school administrators here. We have student loan servicers here, senior Department of Education officials that will be making presentations and answering questions, Private auditors and accountants are here because they want to stay abreast of the recent changes. We also have financial aid rookies and financial aid veterans. Just because this is your first federal student aid training conference, I don't presume you are a financial aid rookie or a day one-er. Some of you have been in this business 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. Back where I live and work in Texas, I have a good friend who's a financial aid administrator. She just hit her 40-year anniversary in the federal student aid profession. And I was talking to her the last time I saw her, and I said, hey, what's the one thing you've learned in 40 years of federal student aid administration? She said, Trevor, the one thing I've learned is this: when it comes to federal student aid, the first 40 years are the hardest. And I thought, wow, that's pretty powerful. So just because this is your first time at the Federal Student Aid Training Conference, you may be a 40-year or a 30-year or a 20-year veteran. We're happy to have you here. We're especially happy to have the rookies here, the day oneers. We hope you stick around for the whole conference and you don't run home screaming, pulling your hair out, running out the fire escape doors. So we're happy to have you here. You can see we're here in the Reno Sparks Convention Center. There's the registration in the main lobby, which is right down this hall. To my right, your left, you've probably already attended there to get your name badge and to get your program book. There's a message board in the registration area. If you need to post a paper message to a colleague, or if you want to check out what those messages are, you can do that. Food and beverages are for sale in the food court. That's in Exhibit Hall 3. There are also some food and beverage kiosks throughout the convention center. You can see there are coffee carts also throughout the convention center that you can visit and stay fueled up. The lunch periods we have, the lunch period is on your own. There's no designated lunch period. Let me tell you why. In years past, we arranged the schedule so that there was one lunch period, let's say from noon to 1 or noon to 1:30. Back when we did that, well, we found that whenever the clock struck noon, we had 5,000 or 6,000 people converging on all the restaurants or the lunch kiosks at the same time, and that did not work. So that made us go back several years ago and revisit the agenda to do this. There's no designated lunch period. You look at the schedule and you choose what's best for you, whether you need to take a lunch break at noon or at 11 or 1, things like that. We have so many people here, we have to do it that way to accommodate the traffic flow. Because you choose your own time to take a break or to go to lunch, that means those of you from the West Coast can enjoy your lunch, while those of you from the East Coast can enjoy your dinner all at the same time. So watch that. That's why you don't see a designated lunch break in the schedule. This is very important. When we break from this session and we move to the large general session, listen for announcements or updates that may be presented. Sometimes there are last-minute room changes. Sometimes there are last-minute schedule changes. Not all of the time, but some of the times they may announce these last-minute changes right when the general session starts. So when we move into the general session, keep your ear open in case you hear any announcement like that, any late-breaking updates. If you look at your schedule for this Federal Student Aid Training Conference, and if you look at this brochure, what I call this tri-fold mini schedule that shows all the breakout sessions and the general sessions and the time slots, I call this the tri-fold agenda. You can see that the breakout sessions we offer, most of them have staggered start times and end times to better accommodate the traffic flow. That means you may see a session that starts at, let's say, 2 o'clock, and there may be another session that may start at, I don't know, 2:15 or 2:20. Those are two different sessions. Why do they overlap? These overlap because these are offered multiple times. So if you can't attend both of those on the day you want, say today, look for that same session on another day. That's why I say focus on every other line of this tri-fold agenda so you can determine what time slots you want to focus on to go from session to session. I think in the morning hours, there may not be any overlaps, but in the afternoon hours, you'll see that you'll have to focus on every other time slot so you can make sure you hit all the sessions you wish to. And see that map in your spiral-bound program book. That's a map that shows the RSCC, the Reno Sparks Convention Center. That's on page 11. Look at that map, and you'll see how the facility's laid out. While you're here at the conference, look at this slide. This is very important. If you need help with directions, or if you need help with logistics or what's going on next, you can find a U.S. Department of Education employee that's here helping with all the logistical information. We call those the red shirts. They may be in a red polo shirt with the U.S. Department of Education logo. If you need directions to the restroom or to the nearest place to get food or coffee, or where is a particular room, find any red shirt. And that red shirt may not be on stage presenting material, presenting information, but they'll be out in the corridors giving directions and answering any questions you have. So if you need help, find a Department of Ed staff wearing a red shirt, or find any Department of Education staff that has a blue ribbon on the name badge that's attached to their shirt or jacket. You can send questions to this email address you see here, FSAconferences@ed.gov. You can even follow the conference via our Twitter feed. You can see the Twitter handle and the hashtag on this slide. Or if you have questions, you can drop them off in the handwritten questions box at registration. So here's what I really wanted to share with you now that I have some of that groundwork laid. There are really 4 things I want you to focus on while you're here to get the most out of this conference. Number 1, the general sessions. You should go to all the general sessions. There are 2 today, general session 1 and 2. You can see this welcome and keynote presentations in the federal update. And there are 3 tomorrow. There's a general session regarding negotiated rulemaking and the fact that we achieve consensus. There's a session for verification and application processing. Everybody here should be interested in all of these general sessions. The general sessions are typically going to be in a room much larger than this one. They're going to be in Exhibit Hall 4 and 5, which is right down this hallway, all the way down. If you walk down this corridor past the registration desk on your right, you'll come to Exhibit Hall 4 and 5. These are the large rooms, and I'm going to let you go a few minutes early from this session to make sure you have time to transition from this room to that one. Number 1, you have to go to all of the general sessions to listen and to get the latest breaking information from senior Department of Education officials. I want to mention this. All of the general sessions will be video recorded and will be posted to my favorite website, ifap.ed.gov. So that means when you're in that room listening to the general session, there's no need for you to hold up your iPad or your cell phone and take pictures of the screens or pictures of the PowerPoints or pictures of the bullet points listed on the screen. You don't need to hold up your iPad or your camera and take pictures, because you can go to ifap.ed.gov and you can download the PowerPoint presentations and you can listen to audio and video recordings of these general sessions. I like to do that once I get back in the office, because often I listen to it again. I can pause it, rewind it, fast forward it. I can share it with a colleague who wasn't able to make this conference, and I encourage you to do the same. So no need to take pictures of these screens unless you just want to. These will be posted to IFAP shortly after the Federal Student Aid Training Conference ends. The second thing I want you to focus on and really take advantage of are the breakout sessions. These are smaller sessions that may be offered in smaller rooms throughout the convention center, maybe rooms like this. This is what I would call a medium-sized breakout room. You can read about all of the breakout sessions in your spiral-bound program guide, and I will not read all those. You can read those yourself. I just did an informal grouping. I want to buzz through these and just focus on maybe 1 or 2 to share with you some information that I think will help. Whenever you're looking through the spiral-bound notebook to determine which sessions you'll attend, remember, it's helpful to think about these topics in the frame of student eligibility or academic institution eligibility, that's your school, or maybe program eligibility. Those are 3 different things. It helps me to kind of focus on these or categorize these in those topics, because you have to make sure you're focusing on student eligibility. Is this student eligible for aid, yes or no? Academic program eligibility, meaning are any students enrolled in this particular academic program eligible for federal student aid, yes or no? Or institutional eligibility, meaning your whole institution, how are we doing in maintaining eligibility? These concepts come into play whenever you're looking at these federal student aid, these breakout sessions. For example, understanding your satisfactory academic progress policy, professional judgment, another one on student eligibility. There we go. We talk about student eligibility, financial literacy. We could go on and talk about these things. New student advising tools. These are titles of breakout sessions that you can attend this week. What about institutional eligibility? The first one you see here, maintaining your institutional eligibility. If I were you, I would, every one of you, go to that session and listen to the presentation to find out, hey, what can we do back at my campus to make sure my institution is complying with all those regulatory requirements and statutory requirements. But you can read more details about other breakout sessions, such as financial aid data use and student privacy, boy, that's a hot topic right now. The Clery Act, how you report and recognize and distribute, publicize things like hate crimes, sexual violence, things like that. How you can protect student data to minimize fraud. Cybersecurity breaches, internal and external threats. You can read through all of these and all the details in your spiral-bound program booklet. Before I leave this slide, there's one thing I want to emphasize a little heavier. The very last bullet you see on this slide says that there's a breakout session titled Program Review Essentials and the Top 10 Compliance Findings. That means this. That's important for everyone here. Here's why. Every year we monitor the audit reports that are submitted to us by the independent auditors that come into your institution and look at your financial statements and look at your compliance with the aid programs. And we also monitor the program review reports that are submitted after the Department of Education program reviewers visit your campus for a week or 2 or 3 or 4 and prepares a program review. We look at the results, we look at the findings and the audits, the problems, the exceptions, the liabilities, and we always categorize the most common top 10 findings in audits or program reviews. That breakout session will discuss what those are, and if I were you, I would go to that session. Here's why. Sometimes a financial aid officer may go to that session and learn about these top 10 most common audit or program review findings nationwide, and you can ask yourself, what are the chances these things might be happening right now in my campus and nobody realizes it yet? You might find out that if these are top 10 most common nationwide, the chances of these happening at your campus right now, fall into 3 categories. Category 1 is this: my campus is perfect, we have no problems, these will never, ever, ever, ever occur at my campus. Category 2 is, well, we need to go back and think about this and double check to make sure everything's okay. Category 3 is different. Category 3 says, oh my goodness, I'm leaving the Federal Student Aid Training Conference right now, I'm going back to my campus right now, and we have to fix this before the day's over. Go to that session. It's recommended, friends. You can see what they are nationwide, and you can go back to say, what are the chances these might be happening at my campus right now, and nobody knows about it. If that's the case, fix it now before the end of the year. What about daily operations? Things like administering disbursements, administering add drops and withdrawals. There's one here titled Title IV Reconciliation, what's in your toolkit. If you work in your finance office or your business office, accounting or bursar's office, you work with any type of funds management, I would certainly go to this breakout session titled Title IV Reconciliation, what's in your toolkit. You can learn about best practices on how you can manage these funds and reconcile, so you can substantiate, or you can show to us, you know, if you drew down X amount of Title IV dollars, you actually dispersed that same amount. That's just recommended from me. We could go on and on about cash management or return to Title IV funds. You can read details in your book. I'm just hitting some highlights, okay? Another section of breakout sessions titled Regulatory Update. They're going to discuss the borrower defense standard and some institutional accountability details. Very important. If your institution participates in the direct loan program, you need to get the latest information on that topic. Accreditation, state authorization for distance education, teach grant, faith-based issues. We can keep going regarding loans and grants, such as year-round Pell Grant, or public service loan forgiveness, or understanding cohort default rates and how to develop and implement an effective default prevention plans. Years ago, I was at this conference. We were discussing that exact topic. One financial aid administrator in the room shared how she got her cohort default rate down, all the way down, because she developed an effective default prevention plan. She got it all the way down, all the way down. I said, how low did you get it? She said, I got my cohort default rate down to 0.0%. And I said, wow, how did you do that? And everybody in the room tuned in to those ideas that financial aid administrator shared, what she did at her campus to get her cohort default rate down to 0.0%. So you'll find that going to these breakout sessions, you'll get helpful information from the podium, but you'll also get helpful information via the table talk from new colleagues that you've met to figure out or to learn how they manage some of the same battles you face on your campus. System updates for computer systems. We have breakout sessions for the NSLDS system, the COD system. There's one for the nextgenstudentaid.gov walkthrough. If you work with these systems, these breakout sessions will be of interest to you. One on the campus-based aid program, campus-based aid topics. This is going to be for reporting for the campus-based program and assigning Perkins loans to the department, things like that. If you work in that area at your institution, that would be a good one to go to. Then the last breakout session I'm going to share is this very special one called an open forum session. This is offered every day except for Friday. In this open forum session, I want you to know what these are, and I want to encourage you to go to them. It's in a room similar to this where you can come in and listen to senior Department of Education staff. And there is no formal presentation, there is no PowerPoint. It's in a room set up like this with microphones set up in the aisles. And I'm looking at this medium-sized room, and I think I see 4 microphones. Bigger rooms will have more microphones, smaller rooms will have fewer. But in that open forum, you as a financial aid director or a school director or an admissions director, you can go to that microphone if you're brave enough and ask any question to senior Department of Education staff that will be seated on the stage. That's what this open forum is. You can share any comment or you can ask any question. These are offered every day except for Friday, and you need to go to that. Even if you're not brave enough to go to the microphone and say, my name is so-and-so, I'm from this institution, here's my question, you need to go to those just to listen. There is no PowerPoint, but those will always be helpful because you'll hear other financial aid administrators ask the same question that's on your mind. So look at the schedule and try to hit at least one of the open forum sessions. You will benefit from it. These breakout sessions, similar to the general sessions, you don't have to hold up your iPad or your iPhone. You don't have to take pictures of the screens unless you just want to. Here's why. They're all going to be audio recorded, not video recorded, but audio recorded and posted to IFAP shortly after the end of this conference. So you can go back to your campus and you can watch the PowerPoint slides flash across your screen, and you can hear the audio of the presenter as they present all of these breakout sessions. This is, again, valuable for you to share with your staff that are back in your office running the operations that couldn't travel to Reno. And every year I go back and I listen to these, and just like the general sessions, I can pause them, rewind them, fast forward, listen to them over and over. Remember that all of these will be recorded and posted to IFAP for later review. There's a hands-on session. We have 3 of them. A hands-on session is a room set up with computers. There are 3 of them this year. A hands-on session for the NSLDS, one for the COD system on the basics level, and another one regarding the COD system on the advanced level. In these rooms called hands-on sessions, there are 80 computers. Room for 160 attendees. That's 2 people per computer to work through hands-on exercises. But there are also extra chairs to sit and observe and watch in case you got in late and there wasn't room at a PC for you. So if you have questions about the NSLDS and how it works or the COD system, I encourage you to consider these hands-on sessions to get in and get a little hands-on exercise. That one's not recorded. There's no audio, no video recorded. That's just exercises you go through, being prompted by the instructor. The third thing I want to mention are these birds of a feather networking sessions. On these sessions, there is no prepared agenda or PowerPoint. There is a U.S. Department of Education person there to facilitate the discussion. On the birds of a feather networking sessions, those are typically roundtable with fewer people. Roundtable sessions divided by different categories that you may go to listen and to ask questions about these challenges and the successes you're finding at your campus. These are broken down by categories such as business officers or bursars officers. There's a birds of a feather network session for that. Schools that participate in the Experimental Sites Initiative, you can attend those to ask questions. Minority-serving institutions such as HBCUs or PBIs, other types of minority-serving institutions such as tribal colleges and Alaska Native and Native Hawaiian service institutions. Another Birds of Feather networking session for other types of minority-serving institutions, HSIs, Hispanic-serving institutions. There's another networking session for community colleges, one specifically for graduate and professional schools, one specifically for proprietary institutions. A proprietary institution is a for-profit institution, an institution that has a proprietor or an owner. There's another Bird of Feather networking sessions regarding audits of institutions receiving Title IV aid. You can go to any one of these, but again, you can go to these just to listen or to ask questions to find out how are other schools managing these important topics in their day-to-day operations. That's the third thing. The last thing I want to share you, and the fourth thing, is one of my favorites. Number 4, you need to visit the Resource Center. So to get as much as possible out of this conference, go to all of the general sessions, go to as many of the breakout sessions that you can. Try to hit those Bird of a Feather networking sessions, and this is the fourth thing, the Resource Center. We have 18 booths in a big room, bigger than this, staffed by U.S. Department of Education or Department of Education contractor personnel, where we can answer most, not every, but most any questions about day-to-day operations. 18 booths, these are them real quick. There's an Ask a Fed booth where you can go ask a U.S. Department of Education training officer any general question about the aid programs. There's an Ask a Fed desk for foreign schools. There's a desk for the Clery Act, one for the cohort default rate operations team. What I'm saying here is this: if you have questions about your school's cohort default rate, you want to know how it's calculated, where the data comes from, how you challenge it, or how you can take it apart to scrutinize it, go to that booth labeled Cohort Default Rate Operations Team and ask them questions, and they'll be happy that you came by and paid them a visit. The COD system, Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, Default Prevention, our Perkins Loan Servicer, ECSI. There's also a booth for the Department of Ed, Office of the Inspector General Audit Team. If you're in the Resource Center and you see that booth and there's no one there, go ask them, who are you and what do you do? How can I help you, or how can you help me? I'm just giving you a suggestion how you can go and get educated on who these people are and how they can come into play. There's also a session regarding the electronic application for approval. That's the EAP system that you have to submit anytime your school undergoes maybe a change in address or a change in accreditation or a change in financial aid director or president. One for the Experimental Sites Initiative, Federal Loan Servicers, Financial Literacy, FSA e-learning website. We want you to go visit with these folks and find out who they are. There's a good one. There's another booth for NSLDS, one for the Next Gen Exploration Corner, another booth for the Office of the Inspector General Fraud Awareness. I wish everyone would go to that booth and ask the OIG team, what can I do back at my campus to be aware of possible fraud that may happen at my campus next week, next month, next year, or maybe happening right now. Another booth regarding the Student Aid Internet Gateway enrollment process or the EdExpress software, things like that. We want you to go visit them. On this slide, before I leave, you can see the first bullet up at the top says NSLDS. I want to tell you something that occurred a few years ago that I was pleased with. We were at the session and a financial aid administrator showed up and they had a question about a student's NSLDS history. They were trying to determine, is the student eligible for financial aid, yes or no, based on the student's extensive NSLDS borrowing history. And the financial aid administrator was so focused on getting an answer that she brought the student's file with her to the Federal Student Aid Training Conference. And let me tell you, when the financial aid administrator shows up at the training and they bring the student's file with them, you know they're serious about getting an answer to the question. And that's happened to me twice in my years with the Department of Education. This was one of them. She came to me and she said, Trevor, I need to know if this student's eligible for aid, yes or no. I brought the file, I brought everything. So we opened it up, broke it down, and we visited, I got the file, got the financial aid administrator, we walked to the resource center, we went to the NSLDS booth where they were subject matter experts regarding assessing the student's previous eligibility history. There was a problem with the student's eligibility based on the NSLDS data, and between my brain power and their brain power and the financial aid administrator's brain power, we weren't able to fix the problem, but we were able to find it. We were able to identify it and say, that's the problem, here's the path you need to go forward. That was an example of a financial aid administrator that showed up at this conference that said, I need an answer about this student. They went to the resource center, went to the booth regarding the NSLDS, they got their answer. I was pleased that it worked out that way. I don't suggest you bring student files to this training, but I suggest if you have questions about how these things work, take advantage of the resource center. The resource center is right down the hallway. If you walk down this hallway, it's just the next door. The next door, I believe on the left, you'll see it, and we encourage you to visit in between sessions. It's closed during the general session. It opens today at noon. There's a financial aid night. This is a new option, a new feature this year. This is tonight for students and parents at a local high school, Reno High School, from 6 to 7:30. It's just an informational session. Some financial aid experts will be there to provide an overview of the federal student aid process or to answer any questions from these parents or students. Maybe some of you are going to that. It's totally optional. Maybe you are. Just a few things before I wrap this up, and I want to let you guys go early so you can have plenty of time to visit the restroom, to get some coffee, and make your way to the first general session this morning. These are just general tips. Become familiar with the Reno Sparks Convention Center map. That's in your spiral-bound book on page 11. The more familiar you are with that book, the better you'll be able to navigate these corridors. Plan smart for the general session. What I mean is this: try to go to these general sessions and be a few minutes early so you have time to get a good seat toward the front of the room. The general session is in a room much, much larger than this, and the general session room can hold thousands of people. So we want you to get in and sit close to the front so you can engage and tune into what the speakers are saying. Check the location of your next session that you want to go to in your trifold agenda so you can know, okay, I may need to sit here in this part of the room or this part of the room to be near the exit so I can make an escape and get to my next session on time. Use those backup slots. Use those 15 or 20 minute breaks between each session to refresh yourself. Have backup sessions in case, let's say you have an opening at 2 o'clock and you can't go into that session because that room is full. Have a backup choice so you can go to another session and you maximize your time. That's what we mean when we say consider an alternative time slot. Look at this. Wear comfortable shoes. You'll walk a lot. Listen, guys, I'm happy this is your first Federal Student Aid Training Conference, but if you want to wear tennis shoes to walk around, you have my official U.S. Government Department of Education permission. You can go put on tennis shoes, and no one will think anything of it other than you are the most brilliant person here because you are walking these corridors with tennis shoes on. Dressed to the nines, but wearing tennis shoes. That is okay. If that's going to help you, do it. In fact, I might put mine on here in about an hour. So wear comfortable shoes. We'll walk a lot. Be sure you go outside and get some fresh air. You know, I noticed when I arrived here at Reno yesterday, the elevation here is much higher than what I'm used to back in my home state of Texas. I'm a flat lander. I'm not used to these crazy mountains, the snow, and these higher elevations. And I want to encourage you to stay hydrated and stay overhydrated, because if you don't stay overhydrated in these higher elevations, you can get dehydrated easily, headache, nausea, everything. If you're not used to these higher elevations, stay overhydrated, drink lots of water while you're here, and that will ward off lots of problems. The last thing I want to share is this. I'm happy you're here. We want everybody to relax. This conference is about you, the financial aid administrator. We want you to be friendly. How many of you know the only way to have a friend is to be a friend? You're going to have colleagues from all over the nation, all over the world sitting next to you. Be friendly and network. Make a new contact and stay in touch. Visit the Resource Center. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to go to these microphones during the open forums or at the end of the breakout sessions. Every breakout session is designed to have a 15-minute Q&A period at the end of the session so that you can go to the microphone. You just have to be brave enough to go to it and say, hey, I have a question about what you covered on slide 15, or I have a question about what you said here. So don't be intimidated. Don't be afraid to ask questions. You can start or continue the journey of being a Title IV expert. You know, no one here, not even Department of Education senior official, has a corner on the market when it comes to Title IV expertise or federal student aid understanding. You might be the next one to develop that. Just because this is your first training conference, that doesn't mean you're a day oneer or you're a rookie. That's why I say you can start if you are a rookie, or you can continue if you're a long-term financial aid administrator of becoming a Title IV or a federal student aid expert. You can print your boarding pass Thursday or Friday if you wish to at the online registration desk. In this day and age, most of us just have it on our phone. So those are just some general things to help you relax and get acquainted. I hope that helps you with those 4 things I want you to hit: the general sessions, the breakout sessions, the Birds of a Feather networking sessions, and the Resource Center. Take advantage of those to get as much bang for your buck as possible. And bang for buck is important for these free conferences. Don't you agree? So that's it for me. I'm not going to keep you the entire hour. I want you to have time to take a break and shift to the general session. Friends, if you have any question, you can go to that microphone right now, or you can come right here, and I'll be happy to shake your hand and get acquainted with you and help you in any way I can. I look forward to meeting you, and I'll see you in Exhibit Hall 4 and 5 for General Session 1, which starts at 9 o'clock. Thank you very much, guys. Have a great conference.